Welcome everyone, it's Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344. I have a Divine Masculine Twin Flame read for you. Just do a little clearing. I have a little sage going today as well. And I definitely got some messages coming into today, some of the energies that are going on. It is February 21st, 2020. 21 is the world. So it's all about completion, coming full circle, the sealed Divine Feminine, and going out into the world. And the day adds up to the 27, which is a 9. The 27 is the Ace of Wands, so that new passion along with endings, completions, compassion, the collective consciousness, universal selflessness, and using that passion out in the world. The 21 is a 3, so that's all about coming together, joy, happy-go-lucky, that person that smiles all the time, coming together with your family, friends, socializing, and your siblings, and expressing yourself authentically. All right, so we have the 3 and the 9, the world, and the Ace of Wands. All right, so new passion, new inspiration, new creativity, projects, and going out into the world with them. Okay, so some of the energies I was getting today, and it's a nice sunny day here actually. I want to remind you guys to go out and get, even if it's a couple minutes, just standing in the sun and getting that sunlight. What's coming up is important. Also, I was very interested. I did a reunion read that I've been doing between the feminine and the masculine to see what the energies were between the masculine and the feminine. So there's more messages about that as well. I'll get to in a minute. But the timelines for the masculine today are definitely clearing. Slavery was coming up, as well as some other stuff will come up in the read. But also for everyone, learning to listen, really listening. And the Arcturians were coming in as well. From my sand art this morning, new mountains were being formed. I was getting specifically Niagara, Tahoe, and Oregon Sisters Mountains. Also maybe ET sightings around Niagara, perhaps the others as well. But also asteroids and meteorites were coming up. So that'll come up in the read as well. Yeah, so just really quickly from the union spread I was doing this morning, it was the underlying energy was the indigo energy of the rebel child, right? The rebel starseed, basically, the one who breaks things down. Whereas the crystal is the builder, and then the rainbow child is more of a just a happy-go-lucky, smiley, joyful person, and just spreading love. So the underlying energy was that, connected to the middle card, which was the 5 of Swords, but in the SIRIAN Starseed deck, it's very much I never noticed this before, but it was like the frog becoming the prince. Like it was half human, half frog. So it's literally the masculine becoming the prince, the green juggler of thoughts and words as the King of Swords, that the masculine comes up as often because he's the thinking man. And I woke up at 8:51 again, so that's the King of Swords. 9-9 was coming up again as well today, which is the 9s of the Hermit and the Wise One, the collective consciousness. And the underlying energy for the feminine going into the read was the soul connection with a new life coming together in joy. The 3D of the feminine to the masculine was climbing out of the dark, holding the light, transmuting the 3D energies, and bridging to the masculine through the King of Wands shaman energy. Opening to the higher realms, the masculine's opening to the higher realms along with this energy as the King of Pentacles dealing with Akashic records. So he's coming more into his 3D shamanism, as the feminine's really not 3D anymore. I was getting messages that the feminine is basically grounded into the 4D. So she's like pulling the masculine up from the 4D now, as he's still finishing up in the 3D, going through Akashic records. And again, one of those things that was coming up was them dealing with slavery in the cotton fields here, okay? And it was funny because my son was just watching The Color Purple. So the feminine climbing out of the dark, right? So she's from, like in the 4D, like pulling out the last of the memories and things like that, climbing out of the dark, but holding the light, transmuting the 3D, and bridging with the King of Wands shaman to the Divine Masculine, who's dealing with Akashic records now as the King of Pentacles. And that could be about slave owners as well, plantation owners, that kind of stuff came up specifically. And in the 4D, the Divine Masculine, all right, so the feminine pulling him out of the 3D shadow, as in the 4D, the Divine Feminine receives a big download. So I was getting an upgrade for the feminines here. And if this is specific to those who resonate with me or in my soul group specifically as far as twins, the feminine's getting an upgrade, especially now through the solstice, or the, not the solstice, but the equinox coming up in March. So there's a new download coming in to upgrade the feminines. So she receives this big download to her crown, the upgrade, and bridges to the masculine through the inner conflict of the frog becoming the prince about their inner truth, right? Because your inner truth goes between you through your etheric cord. And then the Divine Masculine's shadow side, he's learning, you know, shadow work and doing shadow work, transmuting. And then in the 5D is literally, there were 3 major arcana. It was transition, reflection, and guidance. The transition portal of the feminine, the upgrade, bridges through the hermit or reflection, being alone with your light, and the same with the masculine, receiving guidance and learning to receive his 5D guidance. So he's going through all that as the feminine leads the way in the 5D. Again, the masculine leads the way in the 3D. So then the cat's still meowing around my house, okay? And it was again today, and my son's noticing it all the time as well. And it was at 9:51 again, the King of Swords. The cat started meowing really loud outside, and as my air went off, so again, the air of the King of Swords, the air stopped as the cat meowed. So that's the message right there. And then at 9:55, the cat again. So the Divine Feminine is anchored in the 4D, pulling residual from the body. It's like the physical body of the feminine is now anchoring into the 4D, pulling residual from the 3D into the light, and then transitioning to the 5D upgrades that she's getting at this equinox. The bridge is the King of Swords, or the King of Wands shaman with anxiety issues, transforming and dealing with the harsh inner truth of reflecting to the hermit with the light. Our inner shamans working out our inner conflict, our war, our truth within, in reflecting and hermiting. The Divine Masculine as the King of Pentacles, the crystal skull, and Akashic records in the 3D, dealing with 4D shadow work, and obviously with that goes the connection to his 5D guides. All right, so he's really connecting now. And then as we go out of that read this morning, it was the Divine Feminine's heart, the E Tower, and the Divine Masculine's heart, the back cave, were right next to each other in the SIRIAN Starseed deck. And the Queen of Wands was the 3rd energy, the drama queen energy coming up. So we together, as the King of Wands shaman in the 3D, to the karmic energy of the drama queen in 3D, right? Because you're the King and Queen of Wands. But the King of Wands shaman is coming up as the combined masculine and feminine to the Queen of Wands of the karmic in the masculine's energy as the 3rd energy. It's the trigger point. But the Divine Feminine is in the 4D pulling the masculine up, and he has tapped into his 5D guidance. The Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine both connected by heart, but also still connected to the karmic 3rd, used as the 3D form of the 3rd energy to create the pearl, right? Just like the oyster and the clam, right? The bacteria gets into the clam. It's required to make the pearl. It's the same thing as the 3rd energy, or a 3rd party, any kind of 3rd party. It doesn't have to be a romantic party. It's always that trigger point going from the even to the odd. The odd triggers the even to expand in order to come into the next odd again, or the next even. So used as the 3D form of the 3rd energy, and make note, I'm saying the 3D form of the 3rd energy is as a 3rd party to create the pearl around the Divine Masculine and Feminine. The clam or the oyster shell is the Divine Masculine with the Divine Feminine inside the oyster or clam, and then the bacteria getting in would be any 3rd party causing a disturbance, an aggravation, what's the word I'm looking for? But you get the idea. The Queen of Wands, so the Queen of Wands acts like the 3rd party that's attacking the clam or oyster, which is actually the masculine and feminine together. They're as one person. And so, of course, if the feminine is attacked by the 3rd party, if the masculine then defends the other person and not the Divine Feminine, he's attacking himself literally. So this is where he learns that, right? So if he defends himself, he has to, because he's, right? Otherwise he's taking himself down. So he learns that if he doesn't stand up for his twin, then he's taking himself down as well. While in the bat cave, he is also camped out at the Divine Feminines with crystals and crystal work, perhaps on his magic carpet, right? Because that can be remote viewing, where the Divine Feminine spends time in the sun. Okay, so some other stuff that was coming in. So the birds are definitely starting to come in. It definitely feels like early spring. And I was shuffling the cards as 3 cards fell to my feet, and that was the King of Pentacles, which in the SIRIAN Starsea deck is the Akashic Records, the Crystal Skull. So again, and then the Star came up, which in the SIRIAN Starsea deck is like walking like an Egyptian. So Atlantis was coming up. So we have Akashics and Atlantis. So again, more of the records being cleared here for the Divine Masculine, and then the 5 of Cups, which has to do with grieving the past, okay? So the Masculine's literally doing work that we were doing before, and now we've gone to a new level. Now the Feminine continues to pull the Masculine up, as he's now definitely connected to his 4 and 5D self. So that's definitely going on. Then at 10:19, again, the color purple message was coming up. And it really had to do with, and I was talking to my son about this too, about how women were treated back then, right? The 2 little girls who were slaves and they were raped, and you know, all that kind of thing that went on is really going to start affecting the Masculine as he clears slavery timelines and the cotton fields, the plantation owners, and there may have been past lives where, you know, plantation owner fell in love with a slave, or vice versa, or the Masculine and Feminine were 2 slaves with a plantation owner, and all of the energy and wounds that went on between them. And actually at this time I was getting connection from my twin. So the SIRIAN Starsea deck was cut and dealt at 10:30, which is the Wheel of Fortune and the 30 of the 4 of Wands. And at 10:48 I was getting a resistance to a move at 10:48, and 48 is the walking away cards, that 8 of Cups of walking away and within. But there was some resistance there to move, or just someone, you know, who's very attached to a house perhaps is resistant to move. And it was interesting. I was just saying yeah to my son, and Yaya was coming up, which was my grandmother. So that's Greek for grandmother. I'm not Greek, but that's what my grandparents wanted to be called. My grandfather actually had Greek patients, and he really loved that they used Yaya Papuli. So Yaya was coming up, so that may be a specific message for someone, or it may have to do with Greek grandparents. And just Yaya in general. And then we have, starting to read at 10:53 to 54 is when I finished, which is the Knight of Swords and the Page of Swords, so all about fast-paced communication and messages. All right, because the Knight of Swords comes in very quickly. It's considered the catapult, so it's very quickly actually a physical message, so someone showing up at your door perhaps, and then of course the Page of Swords, which is all about online messaging as well as email, anything like that. So we have as the major arcana for this read, guidance, which is like the Hierophant, the wheel, the great wheel, the Wheel of Fortune, reflection, which is like the Hermit, and then strength. We had 2 Pentacles, 3 Cups, 1 Wand, and 1 Sword. And the court cards were the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Swords. After the read, we also had the Page of Wands and the Knight of Cups, where usually I'm guided to pull 3 or 4 cards on either side of the read. Today I was guided to pull 5 cards on either side. So that was kind of interesting. We ended up with 21 cards, and I don't usually use that many cards in the read. And 21's the date today, and it's also the World and completion. So we have, as far as numbers, and the code line was all about teaching and learning for the Masculine. We had 55 was most important, as well as 1010, so that's that very high vibration of the trill, 1010, and the 55 of the truth. And 33 also came up, which is the Christ vibration, as well as the 7 of Wands and standing up for yourself. Some of the other numbers that were important here were 35, which is the 8 of Wands, that fast-paced communication or travel, as well as expressing feelings, arrows of love, and energy exchange. And also 510, which brings up that 51 again, backed up by Source, the King of Swords. So regarding teaching and learning, the code line was kind of interesting today. There's a bunch of stuff that came up from online, but nothing really specific to the message. A lot of it was about teaching and learning. Like the first header was best online study resource, and then the next heading was a research paper. There was something in the header from this research paper. It was from, let's see, ICSE Class X Prelims of 2020. It was physics from a children's academy in Mumbai, and it literally said, ... X will definitely have less specific heat capacity than Y. Okay, so it's definitely bringing up the feminine and the masculine. And then guidance document on the strict protection of animal species. That came up from ec.europa.eu. And then cellulitis of scalp. That was an interesting one that came up from YouTube. 32.1.5 came up. It's an IRS regulation. Guidance, criteria for reporting safeguarding adults. So here we have safety for children, safety for adults, safety for animals. Again, teaching and learning. And these are about rules and regulations and why they're in place. Okay. Equipment readiness code. So here we have rules for equipment so that people don't get hurt. And that was from the military. That was from apps.dtic.mil. And then guidance from municipalities regarding Cannabis Control Commission. Okay, so these were all about quality control and teaching and learning. And also, do you qualify for earned income tax credit came up from the IRS. And then just more about the code line. So it could be about earned income credit, but editor-in-chief also comes up. Seen to the nth degree, or 7th was coming up, the sack of guidance to the nth degree. So here, guidance, teaching and learning, and just kind of guiding us towards, as opposed to the traditional learning, to Jesus and Pi. And Pi is the centered human, right? So just like Jesus, it's saying you are not fully human, right? So your learning shouldn't be all in the 3D realms by human means, okay? So bridging to Christ or God or Source, the etheric realms, to see Jesus to the nth degree as the Saggy that they are, okay? Because a lot of times God or Jesus will come up as Sagittarius because they're all about expansion and knowledge. And the feminine, the divine feminine, and the chakra system, right, our natural connection to Christ and God is considered a feminine energy. The 7th, right, 7th is that spiritual number. So it's referencing to God and Jesus to the nth degree, to stay with Christ and God, with source energy, in their guidance to the nth degree, and not exactly saying no to human teaching and learning, but equal to Jesus. Jesus is Pi, right? The centered human of Jesus. Centered, balanced, and toggling up with love. TNL. Why did I write that? So also SAC was coming up, and its meaning. And again, the Christos Sophia, or the Sophia and Christ. The sac is like a bag, right? It's like a cyst. It's like a sac of fluid. But it also has some other meanings. But I was getting SAC, right, for sac, which is referencing Sophia and Christ, but with the A between them. And I often get the capital A as code for a circumcision, actually. And also Abraham, Adam and Abraham come up with that. But a circumcised male, as opposed to the V of the vagina of the feminine. The upside down V would be the masculine, but with the A, it becomes circumcision. So that's has come up in my coding before. So SAC is coming up as Sacramento, Santa Ana College, San Antonio College, and I'm sure there's many universities that may have those initials, but these are the ones that were coming up. Strategic Air Command also came up, and literally the meaning of SAC is a pouch containing liquid, a sack or a bag. It also means to sacrifice, to sack, to sacrifice or a sacrifice. The privilege also of being the lord of the manor, right? To be the judge. It's also an iron disk to cook thin bread cakes or a baking pan. It's also a plunder or loot, right? Looting after the war, and that's in French. And it's also cow or sheet metal. And that kind of references the cake pan as well. So adjusting or bridging as chief in command, the 7th sacrifice, the 7th air command was coming up. The plunder, the looting, the cake tins, the cow, the guidance that we've received then and now. The 7th air command was World War II. And as I was writing this, I was getting a phone call, you know, just a solicitation. But it got my attention because it was 7117. And the time was 11:43, so I wrote it down. And my son, whose soul number is 43, had just left for the gym at around 11:40, as the phone call came in. So I would look at my phone, and it was 43. As I'm writing down the 7th Air Command from World War II, the Pacific Forces of Vietnam, and then it was during the 7th Air Command was during 1943, and this didn't come up until after it was 11:43. All right, so at 11:43, they guided me to 1943. The 7th Air Force served Central and Western Pacific Air Force, but also came up the Army Air Corps, also the oldest U.S. Air Forces that were numbered. So 7AF had started 11/140, as I'd just written 11:40, because that's the time my son had left for the gym, and that as Hawaiian. All right, so then Pearl Harbor came up, and that's 12/7/41, which also then brings up Pearl Harbor, brings up the oyster and clam that I just talked about, and the pearl, and then the Japanese and the Olympics that are coming up this year. All right, so of course Pearl Harbor was 12/7/41, and then the oyster came up with the quartz perpetual movement and Rolex, which references Swiss, and Beta 21, which is today's date again, Swiss movement. And then again, I was just talking about Pearl Harbor in Japan, and what does Swiss watch movement bring up? The competition with Japanese watch movement. So the Swiss watch movement from Rolex was coming up, and then the 5100 powered Beta 21, and the 51 here again is the King of Swords coming up, but also a lot about Japan's coming up and Pearl Harbor. Okay, so and all of this can be coming up as wound clearing during the slavery stuff as well. Okay, so then Star Trek and the Fleet Command was coming up, and there's a game called Star Trek Fleet Command Mining that was coming up, but it was referencing this because of Spock, right? Because Spock was half human, and Spock takes over, see Jesus to the nth degree as the 7th Air Command and the King of Swords, as the sacrifice, the cow, the looting happens post-war, the Tin Man. So Spock never did give nothing to Captain Kirk that he didn't already have. And chasm was coming up as well here. It was just that Kirk was going through PTSD of being in the 3D, and the chasm, the deep cleft or gorge, the cave, the bat cave of the Divine Masculine. Spock was his guide until he was ready to do things himself. Guides, teaching and learning, and remembering that Spock was half Jesus and half human, right? So he was already connected to the etheric realms. He was there to advise Kirk until Kirk learned to do it on his own. I love how they bring these things in, like Spock. I haven't thought of Spock in a while. Okay, so slavery, Pearl Harbor, World War II, and chasms, all right? So what chasms then brings up meteors and meteorites and asteroids, okay? So a meteor hit came up from 1217, hitting, so there was a big one then with the force of a nuclear bomb, and we hardly noticed. So it happens outside our sphere, but then it comes in. If it's big enough, it'll deteriorate somewhat as it comes through the atmosphere, but then if it's big enough, it'll actually hit the Earth. So there was 2 here mentioned, and they're both Russian. They're named for the Russian areas where they actually fell. Kamchatka, and I'm probably not saying them right, and then Chelyabinsk, and that was 2013. The first one was 1217, I believe. It was 16 miles and 10 times the energy of Hiroshima, the bomb there, and they were the 2 most powerful in the past 30 years, both in Russia. One was around Russia's Kronotsky Nature Reserve, which they refer to as the Ring of Fire. And then in internationalbusiness.com, internationalbusinesstimes.com on 10/22/19 was an article about what's expected for 2020. So there's one that's been identified. It's called 2018 VPI, and there's another one, 2019 VPI, or VP1. And the 18 is just three feet, so it's not big, but there's three potential impacts of it between 20 and 25. It's called an Apollo asteroid, and the first one could be November 2nd, 2020. I mean, it's 260 miles from Earth, but there's different things that could happen that could cause it to come this way. So there's gravitational keyhole that could pull it through, or there's also, it could pass through another asteroid, but they feel like it will probably burn up before hitting to Earth anyway, so the likelihood that it would actually hit us are very small. So there's other ones that have come in. I guess they weren't really big, so they weren't worth mentioning here. But April 6, 19, a meteor hits Russia, exploded in the atmosphere. There's a video for that. Krasnoyarsk. 2/17/16, a meteor in Australian Beach Bay, and then 5/14/14, and the CN Tower in Toronto on YouTube. And then the definitions of the different things, in case you ever get confused. The asteroid is the relatively small, inactive rocky body orbiting the sun. The meteor is the light phenomena when the particle of the comet or asteroid enters the Earth's atmosphere and then vaporizes, which is called a shooting star. If it survives to the Earth, then it is a meteorite, and it's usually made of iron or is considered stony, of oxygen, iron, silicon, and magnesium, plus other things. So as we get into this read, it's the Five of Pentacles upright at 27 here, 27/14, the Temperance card, being patient and inspired at the same time. All right, that was a scam. So the Five of Pentacles is the card we start with. We have the Lovers here, that's the 5th card down, and then we have a lot of cups here, the 8 of Cups, the 7 of Cups, and the 9 of Cups, and then the 3 of Wands there. Or the 3 of Flames, excuse me. So the Five of Pentacles upright, in exile, destitute, injured, ill, or left behind, abandoned, or out in the cold, after the lovers walk away and within to let go of what doesn't serve and find satisfaction with self by looking back. The workplace moving or unstable physically, or dropping the facade, patterns of living conditions perhaps, and the cat came again right there, or combining the two, or keeping business but moving homes, unable to keep both, or no more juggling between work and home. Bad memories at work, or difficult kids, or dealing with work and kids at the same time, and now free from home or structure or marriage in a separation, out of heartbreak, and no more juggling or facade, or giving the workplace a facelift, but cost everything you got, or heartbreaking to retire. The Fool is free, but two left in the lurch, behind or out in the cold in a split of partnership or business. And then I was getting a number of 8377, and I immediately had seen the 37 because that popped up when I was putting the cards out, as well as the 77, which is the King of Cups, and then the Sovereign. And they were definitely players in this read today for sure. So we'll get to that in a minute. And then the 8 of the Strength card. So, and that's Leo and ego energy as well. So standing up, taking the high ground, or looking out a window or balcony, admiring what you have, Divine Masculine, or caught the yard guy or the child or the partner not doing their job, or his or her job, somebody daydreaming or socializing outside instead of doing what they were supposed to be doing. And I'm losing my voice. That's definitely the masculine needing to speak up. So also could be daydreaming or socializing about a third party or overindulgences, right? Kids wanting to go out and socialize and party. Also anxiety feelings of feeling trapped at night by the Page of Pentacles, which can be an opportunity or a child or student, or Earth child feels imprisoned by their chores, out in the cold while others are inside and warm at 12:42, which is the Hangman and the Two of Cups, right? A bond, but feeling hung out to dry in some way, or just hanging out with your kids. At 12:43 is the Hangman and that 43 again, the Three of Cups. Or who let the dogs out and needs to pick up their poop in the yard. Or the Divine Masculine being treated like a child. Or the Divine Masculine is free to play with the kids while the females are expected to stay inside and do the housework. Okay, this again is the old-fashioned division of labor. Division of labor and who does what. Overworking or done doing that. Could still sneak in a little bit, but coming clean or getting clean in a downturn, or things are slow, or in a twist of fate with the Queen of Pentacles reversed who's ungrounded or quit their job and losing money, or coming clean about what she spent. Okay, or as long as she spends, then he must overwork and not spend time with them. When the cat's away, the mouse will play. Or when the Divine Masculine goes away for a work, education, or travel, she is stuck with all the work at home with the kids. Give your relationship a chance, and beneath that was coming up as flirt. So separation and or third-party situation, strumming her pain with his fingers, the Ten of Cups upright family or end of a cycle, emotional cycle, sending him away or treated like the pool boy, right? Go get this, go get that, go clean up the yard, that kind of stuff. But between all that, an olive branch is extended in romance between twisted pillars, is space for romance and mistletoe. And I was getting like Miss Little Toe, and Twinkle Toes comes up a lot too. So someone might reference their kids as that. But that was at 12:57, which is the Hangman and the Three of Swords. So again, that's separation of third party, and the cat started meowing again. So somebody caught with their pants down, or perhaps in the woods, while the King of Cups is with his girl or his pet and favorite dessert and TV dinners, or eating on the floor or outside on the porch. Or the King of Cups is covering for someone because they're out cheating with someone, while the Frog Prince witnesses sneaky sex or a romantic tryst with violin and roses. Or witnesses a grown man in diapers losing his shit. Or the Divine Masculine with two lovers and a loving father purposely gets kicked out of the house so that he can go be with the other lover, or ongoing affair at a business or society meeting that happens every year. So there's still a little bit of sneakiness going on, but it's getting less and less as we go here. So forgiveness comes up as 96, and beneath that was completion, which is number 9, the endings. The King of Cups is tempted by the Holy Grail in judgment, announcement, or wake-up call to separate. Feelings for another, a clue is no longer working, or serving your highest good, right? So sometimes in a relationship, when you start having feelings for somebody else, it's because you haven't left something that doesn't serve you anymore, and so it's the universe's way of getting you out of that. So dropping burdens, responsibility, and confessing it all. 3 cups, parties, socializing, happy hour, or coming together to offer love as the Knight of Cups. So there's a King of Cups and a Knight of Cups here. And that can reference the King of Cups as a masculine and the Knight of Cups as a child, or the Divine Feminine offering her love. Or it can reference a father and son of the masculine and his father, and his father may be protecting him. And this can reference the wound too, that I'm never going to be like my father, and then ending up being like your father, but realizing that he wasn't as bad as you thought he was, and you now understand why he was the way he was. And there may not be excuses for some of the things that happened, but still there's more of an understanding than now for the masculine and understanding who his father was. So that's not for everybody, but for somebody. So somebody definitely wants to go out and socialize, or go to happy hour, or come together with a love, to offer love as the Knight of Cups, and to be love. The deer in the headlights don't know what hit them, but dripping with love now, and cannot contain themselves, leaving the old ways behind. The King of Cups helping their Knight of Cups, their son, or heartbreak separation in love, and leaving 2 or 3 behind. Or the 3 Musketeers going to get D'Artagnan, or D'Artagnan is leaving because he only came to stay temporarily. The Knight of Cups and the Page of Pentacles, perhaps the kids left behind, but they're okay, they were both upright, as the Queen of Pentacles is reversed and the King of Cups need to forgive each other, or the King of Cups is allowing the Knight of Cups to be themselves against the Queen of Pentacles reversed wishes. So one parent's allowing them to be themselves over the rules of the other partner's house, right? So at 115 is the Magician and the 15 of the Devil, or the shadow side. So the recent past is the Queen of Cups reversed, strong in taming their inner beast, or it could be a Leo Pisces energy. That doesn't have to be. But insecure about spreading the word, or worried what kids will release, like what they'll talk about, right? Because kids can't always keep their mouths shut. The Knight of Cups offering love to the one keeping to themselves to stay sane while in another world as their divine lover. The worst is over of the internal war, standing in their truth no matter what, with the Hierophant, Taurus, marriage, religion, or establishment, and the Viking priestess who doesn't use their intuition, or is pretending to be a psychic, or just that the secret is now out. Leo upright, Pisces reversed, Gemini upright or reversed, Virgo reversed, and Taurus upright here, and Cancer upright and Libra reversed, along with Aquarius upright in the underlying energies. The foundation is the Five of Wands reversed, a fight or competition that's over or has been lost. Impatient looking back at new passion or their knowing, or so sure that you were going to win and then you didn't. The Queen of Cups reversed, without peace, and Prisoner of Fallen Angels, third energy. The Queen of Cups reversed over a Sagittarius reversed, or is over an impatient fallen angel, but with no peace looking back, as long as still a prisoner of that third energy, as opposed to being each other's, the masculine and the feminine. The central energy is the Ten of Pentacles reversed. The Montagues are down, but the Capulets are up. So Montagues are referencing the ones with a lot of money. The Capulets are more about emotionally fulfilled, okay? So the Cups are up, the Pentacles are down here. Dysfunction in family, business, or legacy, or loss of a family member perhaps, or money or inheritance. The Knight of Pentacles offers help or friendship to a Taurus, a Hierophant, a religion, or establishment, with a message of love perhaps, or two kids or two friends. The Knight of Pentacles and the Page of Cups with the Hierophant, Taurus, marriage, religion, church, or establishment, offering their help, or perhaps raising money or getting a loan. Or the Divine Masculine is the Knight of Pentacles and the partner is the Page of Cups, volunteering for their church, synagogue, or mosque, or temple, whatever it is. Or they're volunteering for a dysfunctional family leader, or possibly a cult here as well. Or Divine Masculine and Feminine offer to help the karmic with finances perhaps, or just promising to be civil with each other and kind, and challenged by the Ten of Pentacles reversed family and the dysfunctions around it. So there's guidance, and the challenge for the masculine here and for this Ten of Pentacles reversed family is accepting guidance or help, right? Accepting guidance from outside themselves, or from perhaps a person or institution that they don't resonate with. Or the Ten of Pentacles reversed is challenged by that Taurus, or marriage, religion, or establishment, accepting another's beliefs, not sharing in separation, and grieving a loss, regret, guilt, or shame. The Page of Pentacles looks very closely at a gold coin, or the unity consciousness perhaps, or studies everything, is a researcher, or representative, or financial advisor of the Ten of Pentacles reversed family, perhaps sad to tell them that they've lost a lot of money, or have been spending too much and they have to cut back, or don't have enough to send a child to college or to the one they want. The Divine Masculine is feeling stuck between a rock and a hard place, grief or financial destitution, and standing up for self, taking the high ground. Having chosen depression in the past and staying with the dark past, or having stayed with their ex, now choosing the other, the left, the new, to shift, as the Knight of Swords is coming in with the truth that hit him over the head and really packed a wallop. Coming out under the radar without fighting, or after the battle, or after the playing field was cleared. The King of Swords upright with third party is now choosing a new path after spying or catching a partner with someone else, or investigated the Divine Feminine and found no issues, and now looking back without a romantic tie, exposing all to have their sunshine and feel good for a change at 144, which is the Magician and the Four of Cups, mastering, grounding, and integrating, an offering of love, or allowing yourself to receive love. Exposing a female Sagittarius with attitude, or perhaps an impatient drinker or potion maker, fallen angel. A frustrated child and walking away after learning to dance, even though you didn't want to, but to leave to offer love and be the Knight of Cups, without the whistleblower holding back their true feelings, or someone withholding energy exchange. Now for the masculine, crowning position at 147, which is the Magician and the Seven of Cups, which can be synchronicities and heaven in their eyes. It can be options, choices, and perhaps confusion if it's all too much, if you allow it to be too much for you. But now in that position is just having, oh, and I've just had the weirdest connect when I was writing this there. I was getting a connect on the left side of my head that was creeping up towards my crown, but it never went to the right side. It was only on the left. So now for the masculine is that 10 of Cups upright, the emotional fulfillment or completion of an emotional cycle. Walking away from withholding and the weight of the world upon their shoulders, or Atlas, or just over it, sick and tired of the sneakiness, or always needing to come clean about something, right? Always being wrong, never being right. As the Knight of Cups, just wanting to be the Knight of Cups, the man of love. The Knight of Wands reversed, player of the Emperor reversed perhaps, because we have the Nine of Wands reversed with the Emperor reversed, which can be a player, and it can be like a child of the Emperor reversed, or somebody who works closely with the Emperor reversed, or this can also be an old man who's losing energy, like they can't keep up with their kids like they used to, or someone who's been holding back their true desires, or just someone who just can't do it physically anymore. So done pretending he's not like his father, or done kissing up to a player partner and her father. Final judgment or decision made, an announcement or call to action of 2 cups or soulmates in the aftermath of the Queen of Swords speaking and the Hermit shedding light on an all business and no love relationship, or perhaps an interview about a judgment or a court decision or something made public in the local or national news. As the fantasy 10 of Pentacles family or business or legacy is reversed, is now exposed and hung out to dry, along with a female who's got attitude, could be a Sagittarius, or again that fallen alcoholic type energy, or someone who makes potions. The Page of Cups, unable to find the right words, shy, vulnerable, young, or emotionally immature, or stunted emotionally, or frustrated due to used to getting their own way, but there's an inequity between twins or between kids, or him and the kids, or a negative past that is now out in the open and he is unable to hide it. Soon for the masculine is the Wheel of Fortune, but reversed, grieving, judgment, a judge or Libra resting, meditating, or a case that's been laid to rest, case closed, no longer able to defend themselves, or protection, right? So it's like the court hearing is done, so you can no longer express your feelings, even if you feel they're still wrong, there's no more to say. You're now shut down. You can't, there's no one there to listen to you anymore. And listening was coming up as one of the things for today. No longer able to defend self, or a protection order may have come up between him and the 10 of Pentacles reversed family or business or child, both grieving the loss of the other. The King of Swords insecure or manipulative, and this can be a lawyer as well, with the truth presented to him in surrender of the wounded warrior or in closing arguments. Not sharing, in debt, scammed, or an inequity of the relationship, in separation and grief, starting over, hanging out, or hung out to dry, in exile of the Empress reversed, or with the Empress reversed, and the King of Swords could be her attorney, or this could be somebody's mother as well, who's sick, or just disabled, or is hard to get along with. So the Empress reverse is coming up as could be sick, injured, or a difficult mother or spouse, while the King of Pentacles and Sovereign enjoy themselves. And that the King of Pentacles and Sovereign can be a father and daughter, but it's an older daughter. It can be 2 siblings, like the King of Pentacles usually would be a bit older than the Sovereign, but doesn't have to be. And then it could be any partner of the King of Pentacles, all right? So there's a lot of combinations here, but it's coming up as the King of Pentacles with the Sovereign standing next to him, right? That's that single person who's got everything. Connected to the Empress reversed, which can be a partner in a divorce, or it could be a mother, right, that you have to take care of. The King and Queen of Swords also could be representing attorneys for both. The King of Swords is most likely a Gemini here, and the Queen of Swords most likely an Aquarius. Okay, they don't have to be. The Aquarius was Aquarius all around twice, and the Gemini was around the King of Swords twice. So most significantly those signs, but they can be the other air signs as well. The Divine Masculine sees himself as the Queen of Swords, or in her energy, and that can be his lawyer as well. Perhaps soured by an attorney, or maybe he lost and so he's upset with his attorney, or the truth of the devil swearing in, right? So that's a contradiction, right? Because the devil will lie. So swearing in means nothing when it's the devil. So the truth of the devil swearing in and calling out all their connections. So this could be somebody who was arrested and is calling out all their illegal connections. And so this may affect someone. Or shadow workers. Reaping little rewards after suffering in silence with negative associations, group gossip, overindulgers, or antisocial behavior or third party, depression, loss of hope despite the worst is now over, and bliss now should be felt. At 2:14, which is Valentine's Day, right? So 2:14, that might have been sad because it may not have been a very fun day for the Divine Masculine. Or this also could be the devil card could just be a Capricorn who's not the devil, and it's just a Capricorn swearing they'll never do it again. Or a Capricorn swears in for a final judgment, a cattle call, or a hiring. Maybe people need to hire people at work. A Capricorn and Aquarius without much to offer and stressed out that they might not be able to find someone, but with gossip or negative associations, depression of dreams dashed, or Aquarius that's turned against him, and sleeping with the enemy, acting like they stabbed him so that he could feel the bliss of when the sword came out, and then wedding came up, and calling in your soulmate for the masculine. And the wedding just has to do with the fact this situation involves marriage, but it's also calling in your soulmate. So around the Divine Masculine, or how he is seen, is reflection, or the hermit with the light, the dark night, death, and transition, or not telling, not sharing, energy, delays of communication and travel with the Mercury retrograde, and surrender of the wounded warrior, the dark night, and the wounded warrior reversed, with only negative communication or energy between them. Sunshine, kids, or full energy, and all exposed as the secret is out about the Page of Wands reversed frustrations of surrender or uninspired to give up, or a child who has passed, or a miscarriage perhaps, or an adult who has temper tantrums who finally gives up. Leo upright, Virgo upright, Scorpio upright, but Pisces is reversed here. And a King of Cups being the obstacle between the Divine Masculine and his environment, or that can be between him and himself as well. Perhaps his father is siding with his sister, or his father-in-law is siding with his spouse, partner, or ex. Death or dark night exposed as the secret is out between underhanded opponents, right? So not competing fair. The wounded child warrior or the adult surrenders, but still angry about it. The masculine needs to clear blocks of the Three of Cups reversed, of that Sovereign and King of Pentacles standing side by side with all their money or comfort or abundance, versus the Empress reversed in lack or illness, bad health, or blocks of assuming, or this could be too, like a mother who passed away and the King of Pentacles and Sovereign have reaped the rewards of her passing because they inherited. Or blocks of assuming the people with the money are the guilty ones, or the ones with their hands being dirty, or it could be vice versa, depending on what your beliefs were in the first place. In other words, don't categorize people or assume the outcome. And we all know about assuming, right? At 2:31 is the High Priestess and the Five of Wands, which can be fighting, competition, conflict, and expansion. You may not be privy, like don't assume the outcome, because you may not be privy to all outside sources, right? Only source knows everything. You like that reference to source? All right, so teaching and learning, sometimes there is no bad guy, just hurt people. So physical activity comes up for the masculine, as well as music. And all three of these very much important for the masculine today: physical activity, music, and spirituality. The Queen of Wands is upright, and then the Two of Swords upright here. A fire sign keeping to themselves, refusing advances as not to associate herself, right, with getting her hands dirty. The Bengal white tiger erupts away from the flames to transmute the past childhood and lineage wounds in order to be happy with self and receive love from the King of Wands. Or a no thank you, I'm good by myself. Or no thank you, I can do bad all by myself. Or the King of Wands offers love to himself, not to her, and walks away from a negative past in order to break the binds of the Queen of Wands withholding and negative vibes between them, dumping the facade and third party, which being the Queen of Wands here, as his partner, to recognize imbalance of the past, of not sharing, and debt, scams that may have happened, but just inequities there. So hanging out at night with the King of Cups, always the one paying, right? So that may be part of this inequity here. Always being expected to pay, even if the other person may have money. The Page of Cups and the Page of Wands is reversed. Page of Cups is upright. The Page of Wands here is coming up, removing their mask, but the Page of Cups is frustrated, even though they're upright. And finally seeing eye to eye that they shouldn't be together. And that was at 241, the High Priestess and the Ace of Cups, loving yourself first. A codependent relationship of abuse or neglect, and the truth out about the Knight of Cups, just being love or offering love. The Knight of Cups or soulmate presents the truth to the King of Swords to dump all emotional attachments to the Ten of Cups and the Queen of Wands in a bold move to ascend, move, or travel, or to go to a Cancer. Or truth of the Ten of Cups emotional fulfillment waiting for him with a Cancer or ascension path on his travels or journey. The King of Swords and Queen of Wands getting real about what's not between them, or this can be her and her attorney as well, or there's a yard sale going on and then the Queen of Wands is on her way, but both of them seem okay. Forgiving the war within. So the Five of Pentacles, in exile, destitute, ill, or injured, after the battle, the Queen of Swords with the truth reflects, or a Hermit reflects, or can be a Virgo as well, with the Queen of Cups reversed, with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, right? Dysfunctional family or financial loss, and challenged by the Hierophant, Taurus, marriage, religion, establishment, or societal norms. In a twist of fate of a third party, gossip, or negative groups and associations, the Ten of Cups family breaks free of the drama, or takes the kids to the circus, as the past returns, or difficult kids or sad kids learn to bond with the truth and the Knight of Cups and just being love. Walking away from stuff and people that you don't need to be happy with self when looking back at exile, destitution, illness, and injuries, or victim mentality, with the Queen of Cups reversed offering love, or the Queen of Cups who's been hurt and the Knight of Cups is rushing in after the battle, and this can be the battle of the sexes as well, or losing a competition. And then War of the Roses comes up also just now. Ten of Pentacles reversed, right? So the Ten of Pentacles family loses, the Montagues, and the Ten of Cups family wins, the emotional ones, the heart-based family, and challenged by guidance outside of oneself, needing to find guidance from higher self. The Queen of Swords in a twist of fate, and the Hermit third party, or with a third party, negative association that they didn't see coming, both strong in escaping the flames, the drama, of a negative past and frustration in order to bond in their truth and love everlasting. Okay, so that's the read. I'm going to pull you a few oracle cards. It is 5413, all right? That's the message, and the message of transition, death, end, the full transformation, that things are complete. All right, I'm going to start with the energy deck. I'm just going to do a few today. So take a deep breath. And the air just went off again, just like it did when the cat was meowing. Was that when the cat was meowing? Yeah. So for everybody watching, the best and highest good of all those concerned, what do we need to know? What do we need to learn? Okay. Let's clear all negative energies across all dimensions of time, space, matter, and realities for the highest good of all those concerned, and fill that empty space with only beautiful divine love and diamond crystalline light. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, we have 37, which is the third chakra, Archangel Shemuel, and that's the solar plexus, but it's also the 37 of the King of Cups, which is that unconditional love energy. So very yellow here, very solar plexus, having confidence, connecting with your twin. And then we also have 34 coming up here, door to personal healing and happiness, which is just, you notice how it's out, the outdoors is outdoors and the indoors is indoors. So they're both outdoors to let the outside in, all right? All the beauty of nature. The door to personal healing and happiness is to incorporate nature into everything you do. 34 is the 8 of Wands, that passionate energy back and forth, quick communications or travel or the arrows of love, and exchanging energy as well. And then we have the temple path, which is number 12, the hanging man, but it's also wisdom and it's completion as well, right? It's also the, the 12 cycles of everything. The 12 tribes, the 12 in everything, the months and all the different cycles that are 12. And the monads of twins coming up as well. And I always get the Thomas Kincaid painting as well. And I'm just getting the Secret Garden too. All right, so that's very interesting. They both came up because they're both about the pathway. And then the bottom of the deck is the man holding a coin, the 43, again, the 43 of the 3 of Cups, right, which is coming together in joy when it's upright, all right? And this is a man holding a coin, number 43. So it's like, it's the masculine getting back into his stability, right, as far as taking care of himself. And now ready to come together in joy. So we have the masculine with a coin there, but also along with these 3 cards, and they're all very green energies here. You see, it's very golden green, along with him at the bottom of the deck. Look how these energies come out together. They're very much the same yellow and green energy, very natural and solar plexus oriented. Just want to look at these just for a second for you guys. I'm getting for some, this is a place that people are looking for a place to get married. Shemuel. 81, 83. I never add the numbers on these cards. I was just called to do that, and I got 83, which is the reversal of the Queen of Cups, right? So it's the masculine coming in, her reflection. And we have the 37 in this as well, the King of Cups. So that's beautiful. Also now, you're being reminded to open your windows and let nature in. Allow the air to come through your house and to go outside to see the beauty in nature. Perhaps build something beautiful in your backyard to look at all the time, or a sacred space outside that's outside and not inside. Or maybe a sacred space inside that's inside and out, like an indoor-outdoor room is what I'm getting. Or maybe a fountain or flowers, just something beautiful that you can look at every day, or sit with, like, your personal space together. That's what I'm getting. Or maybe the masculine is building something like that. It's very nature related. Okay. Now this is the animal deck. The animal tarot. everybody watching. All right, we have the Empress there. As we go on to 60 minutes, just 5959 and 0000. The Empress is number 3, which has to do with nature again. Gaia is 3. The Angora Rabbit. Time to hop into action. Use your natural creativity to bring forth prosperity and success in your life. All right, so creativity and nature, right? This is a very spring-like energy here. Yeah, you know how abundant the bunnies are, right? These 2 cards want to come out too. Interesting, we got 3 from both decks. The 5 of Autumn, the Manatee, focusing upon your negative or worrying about money or your career can block your progress. Because your trust and faith are at a low point right now, it is not best to start your own business or become self-employed. Oh, very interesting, because these are like polarities. Like this is telling you it's time to bring forth prosperity and success in your life. And here it's saying if you're worrying, it's not a time to do that, right? Because then you're bringing that with you. If you're at a low point, it's not the best time to start your own business or become self-employed. And then the 3rd card here, and I love the color variation here, is the 5 of Winter. And there's the tug of war between the 2. The Collie, your current path isn't leading you toward the happiest possible outcome, so why change it? Or why not change it? Always maintain integrity and compassion, but be alert to the hidden agendas of others, okay? So these are like the three different places you could be in, right? Go forward on your path. It's not a good time to go forward on your path if you're being in negative energy. And here's like the place between, the tug of war between them. And the place between, right? The Collies. And this can represent one and the other. You know, the masculine and the feminine, right? The feminine of the Empress, and then the Autumn and the Manatee of the masculine. That's so funny. And that's a little bit phallic as well. And then we have the tug of war between them, right? You don't always have to have your own way. And it's saying if your current path isn't leading you towards the happiest possible income, why not change it? Always maintain an integrity and compassion, but be alert to the hidden agendas of others. So it's saying if it's not leading you in a good direction anyway, don't resist. But also be aware of other people's agendas. So you may not want to go along with somebody else's agenda. You might just want to go along with your own. And I'm still loving the colors represented, right? So very much the magentas to purples and the emerald green and the blues of the throat chakra. So the heart and the high heart energies. Just, you know, the higher energy, the purples and blues and greens from the heart up. Okay. The underlying energy for this deck is the King of Winter. Again, the whale's been coming up a lot. So that's like the judge, you know. He's very detached. He doesn't have much lovey-dovey emotions. The humpback whale, he's intelligent, impartial, respected, and unemotional. At this time, it's very important that you communicate clearly and be objective and unemotional and act as professionally as possible. If you need advice, seek out the most experienced expert you can find. So again, this has to do with professionals, lawyers, counselors, you know, anything like that, someone you can trust. Okay. All right, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to show you the cards and then let you go. So here we have the underlying energy of the 5 of Crystals, the recent past of the Queen of Cups, the foundation of the 5 of Flames, or 5 of Wands, the central energy of the 10 of Pentacles, reversed, the challenge of the guidance there, or that could be Taurus or any kind of committed energy. There's the other underlying energy along with the 10 of Cups in the crowning position, which is the positive family there, the 10 of Cups, or it can just be a cycle ending, but it's in a happy way. Then scrolling over here to the Wheel of Fortune, which was reversed in the near future. And then the masculine seeing himself as the Queen of Swords, or in her energy. And around him or house seen is reflection, or the Hermit. The blocks he needs to clear has to do with the 3 of Cups reversed, that 43 that we were talking about. And then look at the colors of the cards that came out. So again, it's third eye and sacral of the purple and orange. We end up on the Strength card, which is upright. Then with the 2 of Cups, which is reversed. Then the Page of Wands, which is reversed, but taking the mask off in this deck. And then the Two of Cups was upright. And then the Ace of Swords is upright as well, along with the Knight of Cups is the last card there, upright. All very beautiful energy, along with the Sword again there. And then we end up on the Chariot there. And you see the underlying energy there of speaking up and using your third eye. Okay. Okay. So drink your water, get your rest, get your joy, and get your nature, especially today. Rise and be loved.